Haru checked his equipment one final time as the academic research vessel Starseeker glided silently through the void of space. The ship's gentle hum was the only sound breaking the tense quiet on the bridge. 5 alien students, the brightest, minds from the Galactic Academy of Xenobiology, watched with a mixture of fear and excitement as the blue-green planet grew larger on their view screen. Final approach to Sol 3, known locally as Earth, announced Professor Tay, his forearms, working in perfect harmony across the ship's controls. His skin shimmered with a faint purple glow, a sign of stress among his species. Remember everything you've studied. This isn't a normal field trip. The students exchanged nervous glances. They had all grown up hearing stories about Earth, the infamous Death World, a planet so dangerous that the Galactic Council had quarantined it centuries ago. "Professor," said Mina, her leaf-like appendages rustling softly as she studied the sensor readings, "these measurements can't be right. The oxygen levels alone would cause combustion in most sentient species." "The readings are correct," Professor Tay confirmed. "Earth harbors conditions that would kill most of us within minutes without protection." Day, whose crystalline body refracted the light from nearby consoles, moved closer to the screen. "And yet the dominant species, these humans, they just live there? Without environmental suits?" "That's exactly why we're here," Professor Tay said. "To understand how." Haru felt a chill run through his 3 hearts. This mission was supposed to be the crowning achievement of their academic careers, a chance to study the most dangerous known planet in the galaxy. But as Earth grew larger in the view screen, doubt crept into his mind. "We'll maintain orbit for 24 hours, continued Professor Tay. "Then we'll send down observation drones. No direct contact, the Council's orders are very clear on this." The ship eased into orbit around Earth, hidden from human detection systems by advanced cloaking technology. For the first time, the students saw the planet's surface without the filter of textbook images. Vast blue oceans, swirling white clouds, and landmasses in shades of green and brown stretched below them. "It's beautiful," whispered Jin, the smallest of the students, whose translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent light. "Beauty is often dangerous," warned Professor Tay. "Begin your scans." The students moved to their stations, each focusing on their area of expertise. Haru specialized in atmospheric composition and was immediately overwhelmed by the data. Earth's atmosphere was a cocktail of gases that would poison most galactic species. The gravity was crushing by their standards. Temperature variations were extreme, ranging from freezing to scorching across different regions. Radiation from the nearby star bombarded the surface daily. "Professor," called June, whose gelatinous form stretched across his workstation, "I'm detecting artificial structures across the planet." "Their technology level is more advanced than our briefing suggested," Professor Tay frowned. "The Council's data might be outdated. It's been 50 years since the last passive observation mission." The observation screens filled with images captured by their long-range sensors. Human cities sprawling across coastlines, vehicles moving along intricate road networks, aircraft cutting through the sky. "They show no signs of environmental distress," noted Mina with surprise. "They're thriving in conditions that would kill us instantly." As night fell across one continent, Haru noticed something strange. "Professor, look at this. They're deliberately creating areas of intense heat and light." The professor moved to Haru's station. "Cooking food," he explained. "Their digestive systems can process substances that would be toxic to us. They can even consume mild poisons for pleasure." "Like what?" asked Day. "They call it spicy food," the professor said. "And many consume a neurotoxin called caffeine daily. It would stop our hearts, but it just makes them more alert." The students watched in fascinated horror as humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware they were being observed. "Tomorrow we deploy the ground team," Professor Tay announced. "We'll establish a hidden observation post in a remote area. Remember your training. This planet is classified as a death world for good reason. One mistake, one exposure to the environment without your suits, and you won't survive." That night, while the others slept, Haru remained at his console, watching the planet turn slowly beneath them. Something didn't add up. The official records described humans as primitive, barely surviving on their hostile world. But what he saw contradicted everything he'd been taught. These creatures hadn't just adapted to their deadly environment. They had mastered it. As Earth's sun began to rise on the far side of the planet, casting golden light across the oceans, Haru couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't being told the whole truth about this mysterious world and its inhabitants. 3 days had passed since the alien research team set up their hidden observation post in a dense forest on Earth. They chose this location carefully, remote enough to avoid human detection, but close enough to observe a small research station where human scientists studied local wildlife. Haru adjusted the settings on his observation drone as it hovered silently above the forest canopy. The tiny machine was invisible to human technology, designed to record and analyze without being detected. Below, 4 humans hiked along a narrow trail, carrying equipment and talking among themselves. "They're not even wearing protective gear," whispered Day through their communication system. The crystalline alien watched from behind a cluster of trees, his body carefully concealed by a camouflage field. "Look at how they touch everything," added Mina from her position near a stream. "That vegetation could be toxic, but they just brush past it without concern." Professor Tay's voice came through their earpieces. "Remember, this is why we're here. To understand how they survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species. Maintain distance and continue recording." The observation team had quickly discovered that their environmental suits, necessary for their survival in Earth's atmosphere, made movement difficult in the dense forest. Even with their advanced technology, they felt clumsy compared to the humans who moved with ease through the difficult terrain. June, monitoring the weather patterns, suddenly sent an alert. "Atmospheric disturbance approaching. High electrical discharge likely within the next hour." "A storm," translated Professor Tay for the students less familiar with Earth terminology. "We should return to the shelter. Recall all drones." Haru sent the command to his drone, but something was wrong. The machine jerked in the air, its movements becoming erratic. "Professor, my drone isn't responding correctly," Haru reported, his 3 hearts beating faster with worry. The electromagnetic readings from the approaching storm might be interfering with its systems. "Force shutdown," ordered Professor Tay. Haru tried, but the drone continued its jerky flight, now descending toward the human hiking group. Horror filled him as he realized what was about to happen. "It's going to crash near the humans," he warned. The small machine dropped like a stone, landing with a soft thud on the trail just as the humans rounded a bend. The drone's camouflage system failed completely, revealing its alien design. "What is that?" one of the humans asked, approaching the fallen drone cautiously. Professor Tay's voice was urgent in their earpieces. "Remain hidden. Do not reveal yourselves, under any circumstances." The humans gathered around the drone, their faces showing curiosity rather than fear. One of them, a female with short dark hair, knelt and reached out toward it. "Don't touch it, Sumi," warned another human. "We don't know what it is," but it was too late. As her fingers brushed the drone, its emergency self-destruction protocol activated, a standard feature to prevent alien technology from falling into the hands of pre-contact species. A bright flash erupted, followed by a small shockwave that knocked the humans backward. "Is everyone okay?" The tallest human called out, helping others to their feet. The one called Sumi held her hand, which was slightly burned from the flash. "What was that thing?" The human group began searching the area, now alert and suspicious. The storm clouds overhead grew darker and thunder rumbled in the distance. "We need to leave immediately," whispered Professor Tay. "Back to the ship. Move carefully." The alien team began their retreat, but disaster struck. As Professor Tay navigated a steep slope, loose rocks gave way beneath him. He lost his footing and tumbled down, landing hard at the bottom. The fall tore a small gash in his environmental suit. Toxic earth air seeped into the tear. Professor Tay gasped, his purple skin turning a sickly gray as the oxygen-rich atmosphere began attacking his respiratory system. "Professor!" cried Jin, rushing to his side despite the danger. The commotion attracted the attention of the human group, who had been following the strange tracks left by the alien suits in the soft forest floor. They appeared at the top of the ridge, looking down at the scene below. 4 alien students gathered around their fallen professor. For a moment, both groups froze in shock. Then, surprisingly, the humans moved into action. "He's injured," said the one called Sumi, approaching cautiously. "We can help." "Stay back," warned Haru, standing protectively over Professor Tay. "Your atmosphere is poison to us." The humans stopped but didn't flee in terror as the aliens had expected. Instead, the tallest one spoke calmly. "We have medical supplies at our research station just half a kilometer from here, and we have materials that might repair your—" He gestured at the torn suit. "Whatever that is." Rain began to fall, heavy drops splashing through the leaves. Above, Professor Tay's breathing grew more labored. "He'll die if we don't get him to our ship," said Mina desperately. "But we can't carry him that far." The humans conferred quietly among themselves, then Sumi stepped forward again, hands raised to show she meant no harm. "Let us help you," she said simply. "Please." The alien students looked at each other in confusion and fear. Everything they had been taught about first contact protocols warned against this exact scenario. But as Professor Tay's condition worsened, they realized they had no choice. "Okay," Haru finally said, "but we need to hurry." As the storm broke above them, 2 worlds met for the first time, not in the carefully controlled diplomatic setting imagined by the Galactic Council, but in a moment of crisis and unexpected compassion. 5 days had passed since the emergency that forced the aliens and humans together. Professor Tay now rested in a sealed chamber the students had created inside the human research station. His condition had stabilized, but he remained weak from his exposure to Earth's atmosphere. Jin carefully monitored the professor's vital signs while the others worked with their human hosts in the main room of the station. What had begun as a desperate situation had evolved into something unexpected, a cultural exchange neither species had been prepared for. "Your cellular structure is fascinating," said Haru as he examined a drop of blood Sumi had volunteered for their research. He sat at a makeshift laboratory table, his environmental suit modified to allow for better movement. "Your cells actively repair damage from radiation that would kill most species we know." Sumi leaned closer to the alien microscope, curious about her own biology seen through alien eyes. "Is that unusual? We've always lived with the sun's radiation." "More than unusual," replied Haru. "It's nearly impossible. Most spacefaring species evolved on planets with thick atmospheres or binary star systems with lower radiation levels. Your world should be too hostile for advanced life." In the corner of the room, Day and another human named Jay were comparing notes on diets. The crystalline alien seemed unable to believe what he was hearing. "You eat plants that produce capsaicin?" Day's crystalline body flickered with patterns that indicated shock. "That's a defense chemical designed to cause pain." Jay laughed and held up a small red pepper from their food stores. "We call these chilies. Some humans eat them for fun. The idea burning sensation releases endorphins. Feels good after the initial shock." "And this," added Mina, holding up a container she'd been analyzing. "You willingly consume this substance every morning?" Her leaf-like appendages trembled slightly. "Coffee? Can't start the day without it," confirmed Tao, the station's lead researcher. "The caffeine helps us wake up." "It's a neurotoxin," Mina explained. "It would stop our hearts instantly." The humans exchanged glances, seeing themselves through alien eyes for the first time. What was normal for them was apparently terrifying to most of the galaxy. Later that evening, while the humans prepared their dinner, Haru slipped away to the makeshift medical bay to check on Professor Tay. To his surprise, the professor was awake and reviewing data on a small tablet. "You should be resting," Haru said. Professor Tay's skin had regained some of its healthy purple hue. "There's no time for rest. We need to understand what's happening here." "The humans have been helping us. They saved your life," said Haru. "Yes," the professor agreed. "Which contradicts everything in our official records about this species." He handed Haru the tablet. "I've been reviewing the archives we brought with us. The classification of Earth as a death world came from the Galactic Council over 10,000 years ago." Haru scrolled through the information. That's when the quarantine was established. "But look at the evolutionary data." Professor Tay pointed to a chart. "These adaptations the humans display, radiation resistance, environmental flexibility, digestive capabilities, they would take millions of years to evolve naturally." "What are you saying?" asked Haru, though a suspicion was already forming in his mind. "I'm saying the timeline doesn't add up." Professor Tay lowered his voice. "Earth couldn't have naturally evolved into a death world and then produced humans, with perfect adaptations to survive it in such a short time. Unless—" Haru hesitated, the implication too enormous to voice casually. "Unless the classification wasn't scientific at all," finished Professor Tay. "I've suspected this for years, which is why I arranged this expedition. I believe Earth was deliberately labeled a death world for political reasons." A sound at the door made them both look up. Jin entered with Sumi, who carried a tray of food. "We thought you might be hungry," Sumi explained, setting down plates of carefully prepared meals that would be safe for alien consumption. Jin noticed the serious expressions. "What's wrong?" Before either could answer, Mina rushed into the room clutching a small device. "Professor Haru, I found something." Her voice trembled with excitement or fear, perhaps both. "I've been scanning the humans' historical records and comparing them with our archives. There's a reference in their ancient texts to visitors from the stars approximately 10,000 years ago. The same time as the Death World classification," whispered Haru. Sumi looked confused. "What does that mean?" Professor Tay sat up straighter, his scientific curiosity overriding his physical discomfort. "It means, my dear human friend, that your species may have been deliberately isolated from the rest of the galaxy. The question is why." That night, after the humans had gone to sleep, the alien students gathered in the medical bay. Haru had discovered a hidden file in the professor's personal database, one that hadn't been shared with the Galactic Academy. "I accessed it using your emergency protocols," Haru explained to Professor Tay, who nodded in approval rather than anger at the breach. The file contained records from an ancient exploration vessel that had visited Earth thousands of years ago. The final report included a recommendation that shocked them all. Species shows unprecedented adaptability and aggressive expansion tendencies. Potential threat to galactic stability if spacefaring capability achieved. Recommend immediate quarantine and classification as prohibited zone. "They were afraid of humans," Day said in disbelief. "Not just afraid," corrected Professor Tay. "Terrified. Enough to fabricate an entire classification system to ensure no one would come here again." Haru looked out the window at the night sky, seeing the stars differently now. "So the real truth about Earth's Death World title is that humans aren't the ones in danger from this planet," finished Professor Tay grimly. "According to those who first encountered them, the rest of the galaxy is in danger from humans." Morning light filtered through the windows of the research station as Haru prepared to share their discovery with the humans. The alien students had debated all night about whether to reveal the truth. In the end, Professor Tay had made the decision. The humans deserved to know. The four humans sat across from their alien visitors, faces showing a mix of curiosity and concern. Professor Tay, now strong enough to join them, began the explanation. "We have not been entirely honest about our mission here," he admitted, his voice translated through their communication devices. "Our expedition was officially sanctioned as a biological study, but I had another purpose in mind." Sumi leaned forward. "What purpose?" "To discover why Earth was truly classified as a death world," said the professor. "And now we know." Haru activated a holographic projector that displayed ancient star charts and documents. The humans stared in amazement as three-dimensional images appeared in the air between them. 10,000 years ago," Haru explained, "a galactic exploration vessel visited your planet. They made contact with early human civilizations." "That's impossible," argued Tao. There's no record of such contact in our history. Not directly, Mina added, but many of your ancient myths describe beings from the sky. Your cultures have stories of gods or visitors who possessed advanced knowledge and technology. These visitors observed humanity for several years, continued Professor Tay. They were amazed by your species' ability to adapt and survive. Humans could live in deserts, Arctic regions, jungles, and mountains, environments that would kill most galactic species. Haru changed the display to show physiological comparisons between humans and other known sentient species. Your physical resilience is unlike anything in our records. You can break bones and heal completely. You can lose blood and replace it. You can eat almost anything and extract nutrients from it. That doesn't sound like reasons to quarantine us, said Jay, crossing his arms defensively. It wasn't just your physical traits that concerned them, Professor Tay said gently. It was your potential. The observers predicted that humans would eventually develop space travel on your own. And when you did, they feared you would dominate the galaxy, Day finished bluntly. His crystalline form sparkled in the sunlight as he moved closer to the humans. The report described humans as relentlessly expansionist, with unmatched adaptability and concerning territorial instincts. A heavy silence fell over the room. Sumi finally broke it. So they labeled Earth a death world not to protect others from our planet, but to protect the galaxy from humanity, confirmed Haru. The Galactic Council created an elaborate lie. They classified Earth as too dangerous for contact and established a quarantine zone around your solar system. Tao stood up and paced the room, processing this information. That's absurd. We're not some galactic threat. We have wars and problems, yes, but we also create art, music, literature. We explore and learn. That's precisely what frightened them, said Professor Tay. Your drive to explore. Most species that evolve on comfortable worlds lack that push to expand beyond their boundaries. Jin, who had been quiet until now, added, the Council believed that a species forged on a death world would be inherently more aggressive, more resource-hungry than others. Were they right? Asked Jay directly. The alien students exchanged uncomfortable glances. It was Professor Tay who answered, I don't believe so. That's why I organized this expedition, to see the truth for myself. And what I've seen contradicts everything in those ancient reports. Yes, you are remarkably adaptable, but you're also compassionate. You saved my life when you could have captured or killed us. The tension in the room eased slightly. Sumi reached out and touched Haru's environmental suit gently, a human gesture of connection. So what happens now? She asked. Before any of the aliens could answer, an alarm sounded from their equipment. Jin rushed to check the scanner and turned to the group with fear in her eyes. A galactic enforcement vessel just entered the solar system, she announced. They're heading directly for Earth. That's impossible, gasped Mina. No enforcement ships patrol this sector. The quarantine is passive. Professor Tay moved quickly to the scanner. They must have detected our ship's energy signature. Someone reported us. Who would do that? Asked Day. Someone who doesn't want the truth about Earth revealed. The professor replied grimly. The Council has maintained this lie for thousands of years. They won't let it be exposed easily. Haru checked the approaching ship's trajectory. They'll reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. What will they do when they arrive? Asked Tao, concern evident in his voice. Professor Tay's skin darkened with worry. Standard protocol for quarantine violations is immediate removal of the offending party and memory adjustment of any contacted local species. Memory adjustment? Repeated Sumi. You mean they'll make us forget all of this? At minimum, said Professor Tay quietly. If they believe the contamination is too severe, they might opt for more permanent solutions. The humans and aliens looked at each other, the weight of this new threat hanging heavy in the air between them. The simple research mission had uncovered a conspiracy spanning thousands of years, and now they all faced the consequences. We have 6 hours, said Haru, standing taller despite his fear. 6 hours to decide what to do. No, corrected Tao. with sudden determination. 6 hours to prepare our defense. You showed us the truth. We won't let them take it away. The mood in the research station was tense as humans and aliens worked together against time. 5 hours had passed since they detected the approaching enforcement vessel. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, matching the storm of activity within. "The communication array is ready," announced Haru, making final adjustments to a strange device that now dominated the center of the room. They had combined alien technology with human electronics to create something entirely new. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Tao, who had helped connect the station's satellite dish to the alien equipment. Haru's 3 hearts beat rapidly with anxiety. "In theory, yes. We should be able to broadcast to the entire galactic communication network." Professor Tay supervised from a chair, still recovering but unwilling to rest at this critical moment. "Remember, we only get one chance at this. Once we start broadcasting, the enforcement ship will locate us immediately." Sumi brought in the last piece of equipment they needed, a small data crystal containing all the evidence they had collected. "Everything's here. The ancient records, the false classification, our own observations." Jin connected the crystal to their makeshift transmitter. "The broadcast is ready whenever we are." Through the windows, they could see the storm intensifying. Lightning flashed across the darkening sky. Somewhere above those clouds, beyond Earth's atmosphere, the enforcement vessel was nearly upon them. "What if this doesn't work?" Jay voiced the fear they all shared. "What if they just destroy the station?" "They won't," Professor Tay assured him. "Enforcement protocol requires them to recover all alien technology and conduct a thorough investigation before any other action." "That gives us our chance," added Mina. "Once they land, we implement the second part of our plan." The group had spent hours preparing their defense and their message. It wasn't just about saving themselves anymore. It was about correcting a 10,000-year-old injustice. Day's crystalline form flickered with nervous energy as he monitored the scanner. "The ship has entered Earth orbit. They're scanning the surface." "It's time," said Professor Tay. He looked at each of his students, then at the humans who had become their allies. "Whatever happens next will change history for both our peoples." Haru pressed his hand to the activation panel. The transmitter hummed to life, its power causing the lights in the station to dim momentarily. On the screen before them, a message appeared. "Broadcast initiated." Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds' communication systems suddenly picked up an unexpected signal. The carefully controlled galactic information networks were overridden as images of Earth and its people spread to every corner of civilized space. Professor Tay's voice, calm and authoritative, accompanied the images. "People of the galaxy, I am Professor Tay of the Xenobiology Academy. What I am about to share will challenge everything you believe about a world called Earth." The truth flowed outward like ripples in a pond. The false classification, the illegal quarantine, the remarkable humans who had saved an alien life rather than harm it. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy saw Earth not as a deadly danger but as a world of untapped potential and unexpected compassion. On the scanner, a red dot indicated the enforcement ship changing course, now heading directly for their location. "They're coming," warned Day. "Estimated landing in 15 minutes. "Perfect," said Tao with a determined smile. "Just enough time to get into position." They split into teams as planned. The humans took the alien students to predetermined hiding spots around the research station perimeter. Only Professor Tay remained in the main room, sitting calmly at the table as if waiting for guests. When the enforcement ship landed in the clearing near the station, the storm had reached its peak. Rain pounded against the windows as 3 tall figures in advanced environmental suits approached the building. Commander Du entered first, weapon drawn. His gray skin and stern expression reflected his many years in enforcement. Behind him, 2 officers scanned the room with sophisticated detection devices. "Professor Tay," said the commander coldly, "you are in violation of Quarantine Directive 7729. Surrender your research team and prepare for immediate extraction." Professor Tay looked up calmly. "Good evening, Commander. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding about Earth's classification. There is no misunderstanding, the commander replied. This world is off limits. Where are your students? Where are the humans you contacted? Professor Tay smiled slightly. About that, I should mention that our broadcast was quite successful. The truth about Earth is now known throughout the galaxy. The commander's expression darkened. A temporary inconvenience. The council will issue corrections. Will they? Asked Professor Tay. Even when faced with direct evidence? Even when every academic institution is now questioning the Death World classification? A signal flashed on the commander's wrist device. Sir, one of the officers reported urgently. We're receiving multiple priority communications from Council, headquarters. Before the commander could respond, the door opened. Sumi entered, followed by representatives from every major Earth government who had been contacted during the preparations. Behind them came the alien students, standing proudly, alongside their human allies. Commander Do, said Sumi confidently. Under Galactic Law, Article 317, a species capable of interstellar communication cannot be quarantined without direct representation. Earth now formally requests that status. The commander looked from the humans to the communication device still broadcasting to the galaxy and realized the situation had moved beyond his control. The council will need to address this directly, he conceded finally. Haru and Sumi exchanged glances, a shared moment of triumph passing between two species that had been kept apart for thousands of years. As the storm cleared outside and the HFY first stars became visible in the evening sky, a new chapter in galactic history began, one where humanity would finally take its place among the stars, not as terrifying deathworlders, but as valued allies with unique strengths and perspectives. The conspiracy had been revealed and the truth had set two worlds free.